What is up, guys? So I caught up with the Junkyard Underdog. Yeah, I like that nickname. The Junkyard Underdog, Kyle Bitterman, the Arenacross badass that had UCL surgery on his thumb and raced 2 weeks later. 2 weeks. This is an injury that normally takes about 3 months. He was back in 2 weeks. He's racing again in Oklahoma. What a badass. And just, he's got a great story, man. You guys, I really recommend you watch this thing. He's got some stories about being a privateer, riding through different teams, living in a semi. He's had a wild career and he's just getting started. But before I get into that, you guys know the sponsors. Nano-Extreme, best pain cream ever. Coach Rob, check out his podcast network. Ride Strapped, best goggles, glasses, and shirts out there. Precision Transport, best shipping company, and I strongly recommend you use these guys if you're shipping anything. And Motobilia. Motobilia has the coolest stuff. Wait till you see the giveaways from these guys. Rumor has it we might be giving away a Tomac jersey in February. But without further ado, here is your Junkyard Underdog.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So, all right, guys, I have got the underdog himself, Kyle Bitterman. What's happening, brother?
What's going on, man? Appreciate you having me on the platform and give an opportunity to share my story a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like the race shop, man. So is that where you're at tonight?
Yeah, this is the race shop. This is where all the bike builds go down and just everything that we need to go racing. This is where it happens out of the shop.
Okay, so we'll start with that. So when I hit you up in Reno, I was like, dude, how do you not have, like, you didn't seem like you have a ton of support, but every single year you're battling for podiums and championships. Do you know why that is, or how much support do you have?
Man, I wish I had the answer. Wish I knew why I couldn't get the support or what it is that I need to do to get the support, the right support, I should say. But man, I love the sport. And, I work a full-time job doing fiber optic communication stuff. And I drop a lot of my money into going racing just because I enjoy it. I love doing it. And I love being competitive with it. That's why I always kind of lean to the Arenacross, because it seems like it fits me a little better. And it's, it's fun to kind of run up front versus to the rear of Supercross. Actually people pay attention to you and it kind of makes it worth going and spending your money. But to answer your question, I don't really know. Like this year, I bought both my bikes, paid for most of my parts. I want to say I don't have no support because I have a lot of guys in my corner that go out of their way to spend their own money and help me get there. But it's a lot of friends and family type deal that kind of make it happen.
Yeah, well, let's run down your career, because I was looking at, through the results, and looks like you raced your first national turned pro in 2012 at Unadilla. Is that right?
I believe so. That sounds right.
Yeah. I would hope you at least know.
Yeah, that sounds about right, because, I'm from Western New York, so Unadilla has been always one of the ones that been on the list to hit for outdoor nationals. And I believe I think I tried one in 2011, probably didn't qualify for it. But 2012 was after the Rettas that year. Man, I got my ass kicked at the Rettas. Did good at the regional leading up to that. Me and Zach Bell battle. I think I beat him in a moto. Went to the Rettas. I think I had like the fastest lap time at the Rettas, and just kind of everything seemed like it fell apart at the Rettas, and didn't do well at all, and had some bike issues, and going. I think that week in between the Rettas and Unadilla was like, man, do I keep racing? Do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? And my dad was kind of like, man, you got to make your own decisions now. You're 18 years old. You got to figure it out. And I was like, I called up a buddy in New York, and I was like, man, I think I'm going to go race Unadilla. Let's go do it. See what we got. I'm sick of this amateur stuff. I want to go to the pro stuff. Loaded up the old Ford cargo van, and we went up to Unadilla, and I think I made it right into the top 40, probably qualified somewhere in the 30s. But yeah, we got to race both motos, and yeah, it was kind of kicked it all off. And before that, and I've always been kind of a Arenacross rider growing up in, Western New York. We raced at some indoor facilities in that area and going like Syracuse into Ohio and stuff. So always had a little bit of the knack for the Arenacross stuff. And when I made the move to South Carolina in 2000, I think it was 2007. I moved to South Carolina from Western New York, and honestly trying to give a better shot to the race and stuff. That way you could ride year round and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's tough. People that, see the amateurs now they have futures, they have the combine. In your day, if you didn't perform at Loretta's, you had no chance of getting a good ride, and that was tough. That was a lot of pressure. Did that weigh on you a lot that week?
I think, yeah. I mean, looking back, I feel like I kind of folded under the pressure just because you build it up in your mind that this is your one shot. This is, you have to get it done, and it just seemed like one thing after another piled on top of each other, and I just kind of folded under the pressure. I wish I didn't have that. I wish I didn't go in thinking that I really needed to do it and just went at it with a different mindset and just, hey, you're here to race and ride and do your best. And I think I would have done a lot better. But, when you're 17, 18 years old and thinking that this is your only shot, and yeah, some guys don't crack under that pressure and some guys do. And I was one that just couldn't handle it. I think I wanted it too bad at the time, and it just seemed like it was impossible. And yeah, I just didn't make it happen.
But that's the thing is, I look at someone like you, and I watch you ride, and like, dude, you are one of the most savage, hard nosed, fight for every inch guys. Like I see Brees and Peters come into the series, but you've been here forever. I mean,
Right.
or Brees and Freezy, but I mean, you've been here forever, riding with that same hard nosed style. It's crazy that we used to put so much emphasis on one race at Loretta Lynn's when, I mean, the whole series goes all over. There's indoor, outdoor. It's a really crappy way to pick it out, and I'm glad that they have the new stuff. So after, okay, so you race Unadilla, you fire yourself back up. What's next? I'm like, hey, should we do East Coast Supercross? Where did you go from there?
Man, I think after Unadilla, I think I tried to do some Supercrosses in 2013. I think it was some Arenacross stuff first, into some East Coast Supercross stuff. I think my first try at Supercross, I never even went to rode a Supercross track before going to qualify for my first Supercross, which is insane to think about. This was in 2013. You rode some backyard arena cross type tracks, and you go race at the local Victory Sports indoor races, and you win or do good, and you're like, hey man, I think I got this to go Supercross. And then you show up track walk, and you're like, dude, I got to hit that. Those are the whoops that I got to hit. And I'm like, man, I don't think I can do this. I need to prep. And, you always have your dad's like, you got this, you got this. And you got your mechanic that sees your capabilities, but you start doubting yourself when you're there. And dude, 2013 Dallas, and I seen the triples and the dragon backs and big whoops. And I was like, man, I don't think I got it. And I remember I qualified 41st, the first one out of it. And I believe somebody might have got hurt. But looking back, I was so happy that I didn't make it in there because I was out there riding scared. I didn't want to be out there. I was like, I do not want to be out here with no practice, no prep. Never rode this bike before, and I was a nervous wreck out there. And going to Atlanta, I think Atlanta was the very next weekend, 2013. I made the qualifying top 40, but I cased a triple coming out of one of the rhythm sections and broke my ankle. So the first one I qualified for, I never even got the race. So that was a bummer. But you take all those little things, and that was the most Supercross experience I've had. It was just going to the races and trying to make it happen, make it work. And I think fast forward, I want to say it was 1 year from that. Yeah, I think it was 2014 at MetLife Stadium. I think I made my first Supercross main event up there in the stadium.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. And people forget back in the day, like riders just showed up. We didn't have Supercross tracks all over the place. The factories had theirs, and if you were a privateer, you just guessed and went, and you learned on the job.
Yeah, and like in the area I'm at right now, I'm so thankful to have like Next Level 101. They got Jessica and Eddie Ray. They got a Supercross track, couple of them, and then right down the street we have Shoals, Stu Baylor's place, and he's got a Supercross track, outdoor track, and then we have my own little arena cross track down the road from here. So luckily now I got some places to ride and kind of keep your skills sharp. But before then, man, before those guys came around, you were kind of searching, and every once in a while, I think we made a trip down to Club MX to ride back when like Club first started. Not sure where I'm going with that, but
Nah, just take it wherever you want. I'm just listening, man. I appreciate it. So yeah, Jessica and Eddie Ray, they're good people. That's cool that you're over there by them.
yeah. So we've been riding out there the past few years when Daniel Blair was out there. So we were kind of training with those guys, and I think we're making a switch over to the Shoals and trying to sharpen up our skills out there. They have a little bit different dirt and a little bit more technical Supercross track, so we're going to get out there to kind of see if I can, as I make this transition from Arenacross to Supercross this year. My goal is to kind of try to make some mains this year, and if we don't, we don't. But that's my goal for this year.
Nice. Okay, so let's walk through. So you're qualifying for mains now. What are you doing for a living at this time? How are, because it is so hard. People don't realize how, you see all the lights and everything at Supercross, but there's only a few people making money. Were you making money at this point? Were you surviving? How were you doing that?
Yeah, so yeah, I got off track there. So back it up to 2013, 2014. At the time, I had a small engine repair shop that I was doing over here in Pelzer. It's about a mile away. My dad and my uncle still run it, but that was kind of my business at the time. I was just working on lawnmowers, just anything, man. Dirt bikes, four wheelers, go karts, side by sides, trucks. I mean, you name it. I was just doing whatever I could to make some money, and I was doing that for, I think I did that for like 3 years. And one of my sponsors at the time, Facility Maintenance Solution, he was a good buddy of mine and helped me go racing. He owned a LED lighting business. And I went right in from working full time on my own little shop, not making nothing, to being a lead guy and doing electrical stuff, wiring. And then I did that for a couple of years, which then leaded into in 2018, I started doing the fiber optic work. But so through this whole time of racing, I've had to work a full time job the whole time. So I've never got to fully go at it like I really wanted to. But I'm pretty aware that if you're not Ken Roxon or Eli Tomac, there's no end game in this. I do it because I love it and I want to do it, and I just have my own personal goals to try to knock off the bucket list. And yeah, thankfully at a young age, I was pretty smart enough to know that there's got to be something else besides just racing a dirt bike. Yeah, I'm not going to be Ken Roxon. I'm 20 at the time, 22, 23 years old. Those guys already won championships. I'm just trying to make night shows and qualify for mains. So yeah, I just had to lead into that. But we were able to, like I said, 2014 made some. I think we made a main event, MetLife Stadium, into Vegas, and then 2015 we got a little support with a Junior Jackson Yamaha team. And the bummer on that one was my first weekend at Tampa Supercross or Tampa Arenacross with the Amsoil Arenacross. I was all pumped up, got a Yamaha ride, had a Yamaha jacket. I was all stoked. I qualified fastest in the lights class yeah, I was leading the lights main event. And bummer that the rod blew through the case off a triple and sent me into the berm and broke my femur. And so I was like, man, I just got a deal, just got a ride, and about to start making things happen, and boom, back down to ground zero again, starting all over. You're hurt, got no money, and you're like, man, what am I doing? Here we go. And then that opportunity was cool though, because I got to meet a lot of people in the industry. Got to meet Junior Jackson, and I think he was able to see like a little bit potential in myself. And that next year, he was the Rockstar Husqvarna team manager. I guess you would call it team owner manager. And he was able to give me a deal for 2016 with Amsoil Arenacross. So I started getting some eyes on me and some support in the industry, and we were able to do the Rockstar Husqvarna deal for Amsoil Arenacross with, my teammates for the championship guy, Kyle Regal and Jared Stanky. And that was cool because I never got really to ride with anybody or anybody like that. And I was able to learn from those guys. And I just missed, we had a couple engine failures at one point, but I missed like that. At the end of the year, they would do like a points reset. So you had like the chase for the title. So the top 10 towards the end of the year, they would reset their points. And I remember that night I was sitting like 8th or 9th in points, and I had an engine lock up in the whoops. So I was like, are you kidding me? So I ended up 11th in that series in 2016.
Yeah, but that's what I really remembered seeing and recognizing your name. And that series, people forget that series was huge. That was the year where Kyle Regal and Hayes had that big blowout at the end. And yeah, and so you were on there with Stank Dog, huh? How was he back then?
Yeah, he was cool. Honestly, it was like, the person he puts out there or that you might think he is, But honestly, he was such a nice guy to me, and he actually taught me a lot. And for me, going 2015, just learning Arenacross, learning whoops, and I did not know what I was doing at all. 2016, I was able to take all this little information in and started racing weekend after weekend, and I was able to pick up like, all right, technique and things that you got to do. Drop your heels in the whoops, squeeze with your knees, head over the bar a little bit, and I was able to put all those pieces together. And then I raced a lot of like Victory Sports indoor series races in this local area, and I was always pretty good, but the tracks were super mellow, like nothing steep, nothing technical. But I learned a lot of racecraft. If you didn't get a good start, I was able to work through the pack and cut down low, and kind of in your mind, you knew what the guy was going to do before he even did it, so you were able to make something happen. And I was able to learn that racecraft, and it took me a little bit of time to be able to bring racecraft into the bigger stuff, because I was just learning how to ride the tracks, and sometimes being a little like shocked at the people that you're lining up against. Like, you're lining up against the guy that won the championship last year. You're like, how do I expect I'm going to beat this guy? But, over the years, you kind of learn that, you don't have to name read. You just got to believe in yourself more, and just focus on yourself, and the results will come. But at that time, that young age, you get thrown into all that. You're just kind of like, dude, what am I doing? But it was a cool thing. Glad I got to do it. Me and my buddy, that's like a best friend to me, Brandon Waldo. We traveled the country. We drove the rig to the races, and then halfway through the series, the box truck we were driving broke down. So the guy from Canada that was sponsoring the team of the Rockstar part, he sent the semi on the road, the Rockstar semi, and man, we drove the bikes out west for the rest of the season. And then we got there, and I remember Regal was like, "Man, what are y'all's plans? What are you gonna do?" We're like, "Man, we have no idea. We're bringing bikes. We don't know where we're staying, what we're gonna do, how we're gonna live. We're just bringing the bikes out here, and we'll figure it out." He's like, "Well, I guess y'all can stay on my couch." And I was like, "Well, we're gonna need to, man." And so we stayed with Regal for like 2 weeks before the series kicked back off. And I think it was like Ontario, California at the time. There was like the next round, because there was a little break in the series. And then after that, man, me and my mechanic, we stayed in the semi, traveling for the next, month and a half or so in the semi. We'd wake up and we're cruising down the highway, and I just look out the window like, oh man, we're traveling. Let's go.
So you just lived in the semi. So you weren't working at this time. You actually were just racing, but you were living in the semi?
Yeah. So 2016, I was able to take some time off. That's when I was working for the light company, and he was able to let me, kind of go do what you got to do. And I was able to spend those couple months traveling, and because had to be out west, and we just, week to week living in the semi. And man, that was honestly, at the time, we thought we kind of had it rough, or we're like, man, this kind of sucks. But looking back, man, we got to meet so many people and do so many cool things that I wish that we would have enjoyed it a little more at the time. But you live and learn, and if I could do it all over again, I probably would.
Dude, you were homeless. You were homeless racing dirt bikes.
Yeah, homeless. All you had was just a little bit of coin and a big dream in your pocket. So, and it's
Oh,
cool.
that is old school. That's like, Chuck's son, old school. He said that's back in the day. That's how they do it. They would just get in the van and go, and they would just live on the road until it was over. So
That's it. I just have that kind of old school mentality, and it doesn't seem to fully work with this new age of racing. But I'm able to kind of still do it at a pretty high level, I think, and yeah, still enjoy it. And yeah, going back to 2016, that was a cool experience. I think I did a couple of nationals that year. But that year, I think I learned a lot. Man, Husky KTM contingency at the time was awesome, especially for Arenacross. I mean, it didn't matter. You got the same pay from first to eighth, same pay, and then it was from 9th to 16th. You had the same pay. So you were like, man, like at the time, I was like, I just want to get eighth or seventh or something, as long as I at $800. And it was pretty cool because they paid it like per main, per night. And then I was doing the lights class at the time too, and you can make contingency off both classes, both nights. And that was really the only way we were kind of staying afloat out on the road was that Husqvarna contingency. That was awesome. I wish we had that nowadays. The
Right.
Honda continues Arenacross ain't very good right now.
No, not a lot of contingencies. So, okay, so you go there, you race, you get through that year. The next time that you really came onto my radar was when the series goes away, right? What were you guys? Were you guys all panicked then?
So that was 2017, 2018. I think 2018 was the last year Amsoil Arenacross. Uh, that's when we were for the. So that's a cool story too. So I started off on a privateer Kawasaki in 2018, and I think it was Jason Owens got hurt, and he was riding for the which is now Phoenix, but it was like a tie loop Honda at the time, and he got hurt, and David Eller and the Honda guys were able to be cool enough and give me a shot and an opportunity on the Honda deal. And yeah, so 2018, we got on there, got on the Honda, and we were able to. I actually, at one point, I snuck into third in points and had 2 DNFs, but I ended up sixth in the series that year. And I feel like in 2018, I really started to show what I was capable of. But it was a bummer because after 2018, Feld kind of pulled the plug, and we didn't really know until the end of the year. We heard rumors that, hey, Arenacross is going to be no more. And it was kind of like a blow because I was like, man, I'm just getting going. Like, I'm starting to figure this out. I'm starting to run up front. I'm feeling confident now. And next thing you know, they're like, no, this is over with. I was kind of bummed, but 2019, there was no Arenacross, besides the local stuff, but there was no Amsoil or no national title. And I think I did a couple Supercrosses, which is pretty rad too, because I qualified the best I think I've ever done 2019 at Atlanta. I think I qualified like 23rd or 24th in the 450 class. That was cool, but nothing that sticks out. You're just kind of getting in the show. Pop in. The series is halfway over, and here's 581 on a Honda. He pops in for a Supercross, and he's running close into the 20s. That's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
then was 2020. The kicker guys got the AMA title to be like the AMA series again, and there wasn't a whole lot of pay. And I remember I was kind of talking to Denny Bartz, and he was the Babbitt's Cowie guy back with the Amsoil days. We talked to him, and we were able to work something out to do the 2020 Kicker Arenacross series with the Babbitt's Honda guys, which was cool, man. I mean, I didn't even ride that bike until the day I showed up to race it. I didn't practice on a Cowie. The deal came around super late. The first round was the day after New Year's in 2020, and it was in Loveland, Colorado. I think I found out I was going like 2 days before that. We showed up, and dude, I was riding a Honda, and then I Cowie, and I think I ended up like a second and a third that night, and I was racing Peters and Jace and Stank Dog and Mason Kerr and some good guys, but I was kind of just tailing behind Peters and Owens a little bit. But that whole year, I was able to learn and inch closer to those guys, and I think at one point I started finishing pretty respectfully second, third, and I was able to get 2 wins at Salt Lake City that year.
Was that
So
your first wins?
Yep, first one's in Arenacross in the, I guess you would call it the premier class. So 2020 and 2021. What happened there? So 2020, I ended up second in the series. 2021, I kind of went out on a limb and bought a gas 250F, and I was like, man, these guys seem like they're making a push, and maybe if I go on a limb and get a gas that nobody else is riding, and maybe if I do well and might spark some interest and get some support and get some real support, maybe get some money, and yeah, I started off
Was that the lasting impression team?
So it was before it was Lasting Impression team, but I did have support from Lasting Impression at the time. So I just bought a bike, and that's what I think that summer I met Jason and his family, the Thompson family, at the Lasting Impression, and they kind of, like you said, like, hey, what do you need? What do we need to get? And help me get some parts and stuff and get me to the races. And the following year, we kind of transferred it into like a Lasting Impression gas team. But we were still, I mean, we weren't getting no support. We were buying bikes. We were hoping that, maybe if you fake it till you make it, that something would, and nothing would, man. And I don't know if we made it look too good or look too legit and people thought we had the support. but nothing came about it. And I kind of struggled on the steel frame. I didn't really ride Gas or Husky besides that 1 year in 2016. And I kind of struggled on that bike, not so much outdoors, not that I rode it too much outdoors, but in Supercross version, whenever we threw stiff forks on it and stuff, I just felt like just didn't get along with that chassis. I've been a Honda guy forever. And so after 2021, I was like, you know what? I'm going back to a Honda. If I'm buying my own bikes, I'm just going back to a Honda. And that's when Jason at Last Impression, he stepped up pretty good. He was able to give me 2 bikes. We got some support with the Honda stuff, and we had Dean Baker doing motors, and we were starting to get the ball rolling and really trying to go after a title in Arenacross. And I think it was 2021, the Gas. 2022 was the Honda, and we had some good races, man. 22 and then into 23.
Well,
Look,
one of those seasons, I remember you almost beat Peter. So you were the guy to look at, like you were his competition 1 year. Was that 22 or 23?
I think it was, I want to say it was 23. I see, I get them confused because we're in half the year and then into a new year.
Right.
22 year and 23 year. I was pretty good, man. Like I don't know how many times, if we did the same amount of laps now, or did the same laps that we do now, then I think I would have won like 8 or 9 races. But Peters would always inch me out. Like we'd hit like lap 19 and my tongue would be in the spoke. And I'm like, dude, I'm fighting it, dude. I'm holding on too tight. And he would just wear me down and then get me. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. How many times did I lead this whole main event for
and you're flying back working in between this whole thing.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm flying back working and then trying to test and ride. And I do all my own bike work during the week. And you're just, you're wore out. You're trying to make it happen. And you're just like, almost got the white flag. And he don't stop, man. The guy just keeps coming and then he takes it. And then you're the number 2 guy. And everyone's looking at it like, why'd you get tired? And I'm like, damn, dude. Like I was so close. But,
well, and Peters, man, that dude's good at Arenacross. He's got this little, I mean, he's good, but you're right there and you fought him hard.
yeah.
So let's jump forward a little bit to this year. You said you were thinking about not even racing?
Yeah. So I had a pretty, like last year, dude, so 2024, I guess you call it. I came into that series so prepared. Like I felt so good on the bike and it seemed like it just unraveled right from the beginning. I got food poisoning in round 1. And then I think it was the 3rd round. I ended up coming together on the last lap with Peters went to make a move on me. And we connected over the face of the jump. And I ended up going down, smashing my head, finished the race. I don't even remember finishing that race. You've probably seen that clip of me saying I don't remember like 10 times. So that was the 3rd round of that series. And I was like, man, this thing just got unraveled so quick, and I was so prepared coming in that year, and I was riding so good down there. We were training with Blair, and I felt so good, and then it just went downhill, and I had a concussion. I tore up my nose. I couldn't breathe. Going into the next week in the Guthrie, I literally could get like 2 laps in practice, and I was like toast because my nose was plugged up, still swelled up, and I didn't get surgery until after the year was over with last year on my nose to get that fixed. But it was kind of a bummer because then I just had to deal with, getting your mind right after a concussion. And I probably shouldn't even race the next weekend after that. But what are you going to do? You're sitting 2nd, 3rd in points. You want to try to fight as much as you can and make that paycheck at the end of the year. But yeah, like you're saying, and then that leads into the summer this past year. I was kind of on the fence. Am I going to keep racing? Am I going to just give up the dream of going for an Arenacross title or whatever it may be? And dude, then I go to like the Hill Jam in July, and I ride Supercross one day on a Wednesday before, and I'm like, yeah, I feel good. Let's go down there. We show up to the Hill Jam, and Justin Hill's there, Josh Hill, Kyle Peters, Justin Bogle, some guy from overseas on a Star. I'm like, oh, dude, this is. I thought it was going to be some good money, but I didn't realize all these guys were going to be here. And, I just kind of was like, you know what? Screw it, man. It is what it is. Cade Clayson was there. I mean, there was a bunch of guys there. I ended up pulling the start in the heat race. I led every single lap in the heat race, won my heat race, and then in the main event, got a good start, decent, probably like fifth or sixth. And I think the Stark was out front, and then Bogle, I think, crashed on the start. But Peters and Simonson and a couple other guys were up front. I was able to track all those guys down and get a second. And honestly, that kind of what kept me going this year, because I was like, dude, if I'm able to do that, like, come on, man, like you got something here. Let's figure this out. Fast forward into like the next month. We always do like the big two-stroke race at Muddy Creek, and that's I think that's like in October. Yeah, October. And same thing, you know, bunch of good guys show up, and I've won it 2 times before, and you know, you start doubting yourself because you know you're riding, working, riding, working. I don't know, this thing ain't running too good. We're changing spark plugs, jetting it. But sure enough, you know, the whole weekend went bad. The very first race of that weekend, I crashed on the start, and there was a bunch of good guys there. Rod Bell, Rogers, Burkeen. I mean, we were all coming into the tight hairpin in Muddy Creek, and we all. I mean, there was like 10 of us like that went down in the first corner there, and but it all snowflaked there, and just one after another. I crashed in the 250 main moto, and then but this was all on Saturday. Sunday is the main race for the two-stroke. So I was like, man, screw it, we're going for it. And I remember Burkeen was like, dude, whenever money puts on the line, Kyle, the underdog just comes out. And I was like, I don't know what it is, man. Dude, like, wave $7,000. I'm like, dude, we got to win this thing like pronto. And I remember watching his video. I did not get a good start on the two-stroke, but by the first lap, somehow I was in like second or third. And I was like, I don't know how I did that. Like, I don't even know where I passed these guys, or I just kind of blank out and just go for it. Next thing you know, I was running second, and Rogers made a little mistake, and I got in the lead and won that thing. And honestly, if it wasn't for that race, I don't even think the Arenacross series would have been possible, because I was able to buy a bike and start riding the 25 Honda chassis and start getting some parts. And I was like, okay, maybe we can do this. And but then it comes to obstacles. I'm like, all right, how am I getting the bikes to all these rounds? How am I going to make this happen? And the guy that does my suspension and my boss with the fiber stuff, he's pretty good buddies with David Eller at Phoenix Honda. And he was talking to David, and he was able to work out a deal where they would haul a little trailer around with mine and his son Peyton's bike in it. So that's a funny story. So I go up there to Phoenix, and you know Heath Harrison, yeah, he calls me. He's like, "Hey man, when are you gonna be up here?" I was like, "Dude, I'm about to pull out. I'm gonna be heading up that way." He's like, "All right, cool." You know, because this was Tuesday before, what was the first round? Reno.
Reno.
Yeah. So this is like Tuesday before Reno, and I show up there, unload everything, we get it all tied up in the trailer, get it hooked behind the Phoenix van, and I'm just so thankful that they're taking this thing, because if that's not even an option, I'm not going. And then he's like, "All right." And I was kind of curious. I'm like, all right, man. So like, when are the bikes coming back? Are they, you know, we have like a month before the next round. He's like, oh, no, the rig's staying out there. I was like, all right, cool. All right, well, I guess I gotta buy another bike. He's like, yeah, the van's not coming back till the end of the year. I was like, oh, yeah, cool. No, sounds good. You know, whatever. You know, we'll figure it out. On the way home.
So you don't have a bike that's not on the road?
Yeah.
Did you buy one to ride here or at home?
Yeah. So I think it was after Reno.
Went to
Yeah,
Boise.
bought one after Reno. I think it was Reno.
Oh boy! And how close is it to your race bike?
So right now, I think they're almost identical. Like anything I bought for the race bike, I made sure I got on the practice bike, which both motors are stock. We're just doing suspension, and I've been traveling. I brought the suspension home off that bike, and then when I go racing, I'll bring that suspension. But hopefully, pretty soon we'll have two that are identical suspension sets. But the only thing the race bike has is race wheels. But everything else, like, you know, guts, seat cover, the, you know, grips, stuff, bars, Mika, it's the same tires, same grips. Yeah.
Kyle Peters got hurt, and he's not doing the rest of the series. They can't
No.
take your bike. What are you doing?
So that was another obstacle after. So this was after, what the heck was the last race we just
Boise.
did?
Boise, and then
Oh, Loveland. So
Loveland.
after Loveland, we were talking with those guys and trying to figure out the next plan because the van went back to Guthrie. So we're able to keep it at the Kicker facility place out there at Stillwater, Oklahoma. So, but after that, that's going to go back to Phoenix. The
Ooh.
trail, Phoenix's little trailer. So um, we're actually having a buddy of ours, come out there. I don't know if you know the Flying Taco.
I do. I know the taco.
He's a character, man. He's a good dude. But he's actually driving out to Oklahoma, and we worked out a deal where he's going to pick up the trailer and take it to the next couple rounds from
Oh,
there. We
yeah.
still throw gas money and a little, food credit, and he's on his way out there and going to kind of travel around the rest of the series. So it looked like it was falling apart, and the next thing you know, Taco's picking us back up.
Yeah, I ran into Taco the Friday night out here in Vegas before the Super Motocross race, and I'll say this: he does appreciate a good drink.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, he's good, good time, man. We have a blast with that dude. He's good. He knows
how
everything too.
how come he's not racing?
He's going to be racing in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
Well, I figured I was the way he was drinking. I was like, I sure as hell isn't racing tomorrow. Although he
No.
probably would. He's hardcore, right? So how's the thumb? So you literally broke your thumb and tore the UCL, the same injury as Cooper Webb and Eli Tomac in Boise before the race. Raced both nights, got surgery, and then made it to Colorado, right?
Yep. So after December 6th, I got done with Boise and I got home, seeing my doctor. We did X-rays, seeing that it was broken. We got the MRI, which was kind of tough getting the MRI done. They did not, with being December, everybody's trying to use their insurance up. And so I actually had to drive like 2 hours away to go get the MRI down in Columbia. But that took, I didn't get it done until the 12th, I want to say, 10th or 12th. But I was like, man, this is a week that we're losing here. But I was able to get it, and Dr. Tanner's awesome. He scheduled me for surgery. Luckily, he had an open OR for that day on the 18th. But yeah, two weeks after the 18th, it was Loveland, and I had to have a sit down talk with my wife, and honestly, Dr. Tanner, because he wasn't too thrilled on it. After just doing the surgery, he didn't want me to re-tear the UCL, but it's a funny thing. Like, I go to the doctor, Dr. Tanner, and before surgery, like, we're in the waiting room to go in surgery. And the night before, I was out in the shop making like a custom brace for my thumb. And my wife, you are nuts. Like, what are you doing? I took like the bottom plastic off of the EVS TP 199 and I started shaping it to my thumb to kind of like keep it, like hook my arm here, but be able to use the plastic so I could tape it to make a brace. Because any brace that I had, I was like, there's no way I can hold on to this grip if I have something that's on my palm or in the crest of my knuckle right here. I was like, there's no way. I was like, the only way to be able to have tape and to have this brace, because he was worried that if we fixed the UCL, if I was able to go down or crash, if I pull it back, well, what we just fixed, we just ripped, and he's going to have to redo the surgery. If we redo the surgery, he's going to have to not only anchor on one side, he's going to have to anchor on both sides. And I was like, man, I really don't know if I should be doing this. And I'm sitting like fourth in points right now, I think, fourth or fifth. And so me and Paul Tully are gonna be battling out for that. But to get fourth or fifth, I think it's only like $2,500 for the series. And I'm like, is it really worth this to like?
No, if you make a logical decision, it's
Yeah,
not worth it. But you're crazy, dude, and I get it. That's part of what makes it such a cool story and why I'm like, damn, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw you in Reno in I think it was the Dash for Cash, you were leading it and you got clobbered. And I remember seeing the look on your face. I'm like, that dude's scary. Like, I'm
yeah.
surprised they dare to take that dude out. Like,
Oh, I was mad at the time, dude. To backtrack to that. Like, Bogle's awesome. He's a good dude and so talented. But to lead like the whole thing and then just take on the last lap, and I had no idea he was behind me. And that turn was so wide where like the ends you could kind of cut across, and I was coming out of the turn. I just got clobbered. But we were racing for $2,000. And that would have been a nice payment. Could have paid mortgage for a couple months of the race season. But
Yeah. Yeah. And then in the main event, you led like it was almost a carbon copy. You led the whole thing and then got pushed out at the very end.
yeah. And then for main two, dude, like after leading, using all my energy in the dash and main one, like I was so smoked for main two. Like I was back there, I think seventh, and I was just cruising. Like I have no fight left in me. I'm just let's get this weekend over with and recoup and reset. But yeah, no, back to the thumb, man. Like the Dr. Tanner going through that thing and trying to make a brace, get the surgery done. We go home to New York for Christmas and hang out, and you kind of tell family or friends, like, yeah, oh, so you're done for the rest of the year? I'm like, no, I'm probably gonna race in like 2 weeks, and they're just looking at you like, well, what? Like, what is wrong with you? And mind game too, because you're like, man, is there something wrong with me? Like, why do I feel like this need to drive to like see if I can do it? Like, I just want to see if maybe it's possible, like. But then like the Wednesday before the race, like I remember texting you like that week prior to the race, and you're like, hey man, you want to come on the show? And I was like, dude, I'd really rather wait to see if I'm able to ride or race, and I don't even know if I'm gonna go this weekend. Like, and this was a Monday, Tuesday, and I'm supposed to fly out Thursday morning. But Wednesday, I was like, this is my last chance. Like, I gotta ride today and to see. And I had that custom brace on that I made, the little plastic piece, and it did not go good at first. Like, I was like, dude, I'm gonna loop out this 450 whiskey throttle this thing. This is not gonna be good. So I sent my wife to CVS, which was only like 3 minutes down the road. She had a bunch of K tape stuff, and we're sitting there in the back of my van taping this stuff up, trying to just make it pull the thumb into my hand. That way it's can move but can't stretch backwards. And I was able to get like 3 good laps in. I wouldn't even say good, like 3 rideable. Like I jumped everything, hit the whoops, skimmed the whoops, hit the turns. I pull off. And everyone's just kind of looking at me quietly, and they're just like, "So what are we doing?" I'm like, "I think we're gonna go race." And everyone's
Oh.
like, "Damn, we knew you were gonna say that."
I couldn't believe you raced, and I'm not gonna lie, watching it at home, every time I saw you and I saw somebody dive on the inside, I'm like, don't take him out, because I'm like, it's like
Yeah.
if he falls, it will rip that thing. It was hard to watch. Your wife is a saint. I can't believe she puts up with you, dude.
Dude, seriously, I guess that's what you get when we've been together for like 17 years. She kind of knows what she signed up for. So, but yeah, like main one in there, I actually didn't get a best of start and got pinched off, and I snagged a tough block, and I probably could have saved it, kinda. But I initially just was like, "Oh, dude, I'm going down." So I just took my hand off the bar and put it to my chest, and the bike just kind of kept pulling, and it pulled me down. But I was like, dude, I cannot risk putting my hand out, or I was like, just put it to the chest, put it to the chest. And I had to take the fall, even though if it was like now, I probably would try to ride it out or gas it through it. But you still have that potential to hold on the bars and go down and tear something up. But
Yeah, you still ended up like what'd you get, like fourth, like maybe that first main seventh, fourth, fifth. You were
yeah,
right there.
last, dead last, got up, came back to seventh. Was actually a pretty good charge. And then yeah, I went 5.55 or 4.555. So it was honestly that's what I wanted to do all weekend. I was like, if I could just be a fifth place guy all weekend, because I know those guys probably have a little bit of edge on me, especially me being a little hurt right now. I was like, I wasn't, dumb by no means going there thinking that I was going to win, but I was like, if I can tail behind those guys, maybe freezing somebody, take each other out, maybe I could sneak in there for a podium. You never know. So, but I was like, there's only one way to find out, and that's to go there.
Oh,
That's
you are an absolute savage. So since that race, how's the thumb feeling? Are you on the bike? Is your conditioning ready for Oklahoma? Because that's a big track.
that's where it starts playing mind games with yourself, right? You just had surgery, you raced, but you weren't supposed to race, so now you're trying to like double recovery from actually using more than you probably should have. And then I'm only 2 weeks past that point, and really I should be riding maybe the weekend after Guthrie. Really, like Dr. Tanner told me, like 5 6 weeks, then start riding. But all I've been able to do is cycle and cardio and go to work. And honestly, going to work's been pretty tough. Trying to open up cable and stuff with my arm, and I was like, dude, I don't know what's harder, trying to work or trying to ride. I feel like I could ride better right now than trying to do this open cable stuff. I was able actually to ride today at the shoals, um, and it was so windy today. I was able to ride and put a few decent laps in and start getting my groove back and start getting your time. And you're off from December 6th to now. I mean, that feels like forever, really. And
Yeah.
just hop back on the bike but I know like I need to ride some Supercross and we're having a hard freeze next week. So I was like, dude, I gotta make it happen this weekend and early next week to feel confident enough to go to Guthrie. And my expectations ain't like super high on Guthrie. I definitely am gonna have to see how it goes. And I mean, I always believe myself. I think I could do it. I think I could run with those guys, and it's all on, you show up that day and you might feel good, might not, but I hope I can show up and feel spunky and ready to go and race. And when that adrenaline kicks in, it kind of pushes everything past too. But yeah, we're gonna probably try to ride three more times before I go to Guthrie, and yeah, do a lot of recovery, a lot of ice baths, and see if we can come into Guthrie pretty strong. But my goal is to get through Guthrie and maybe start getting my groove back in Reno. But I know when we come back to Prescott, like that's going to be a little bit tighter one, and I feel like that suits me a little better. And I feel like I want to try to do pretty good at Prescott, and hopefully the Daytona is not like a complete sand race like it was last year. Hopefully they can get some type of decent dirt to have a good race and not just a chaos race, really. And it'd be nice to end the series on a high note and kind of funnel that back into some Supercross stuff this year.
I'm sorry, I hate to tell you, I'm pretty sure it's going to be sandy in Daytona. And as a fan, I'm sorry. I know you guys hate it. You're smoking bikes, but that was some of the most fun racing. Like we didn't know what was going to happen. I mean,
Yeah,
Peter's barely qualified, and then bikes are smoking. I mean, I'm sorry. It was like out of a movie. It was
yeah,
nuts.
yeah. I
But
was like, it was me and Peters in the LCQ, and I crashed in the start of the LCQ and didn't make the main. I was so mad, dude. I was like, kidding me.
well, and he wasn't going to make it either. I've never seen anything like what happened. He's got two turns to go. He's in third place. He's got to be in first. One guy drops it in this turn. One guy drops it in this turn. He rides right by. I'm like,
Dude,
the moto gods just gave it to him. I couldn't believe it.
there's looking out for you, and that you make your own luck at the same time too. So I was just watching that, just shaking my head, like, you got to be kidding me. Like,
Oh,
damn,
Ryan Brees was like, "Are you kidding me?"
yeah, no doubt.
So okay. So what's the plan after Daytona? How many Supercrosses in the 450 class?
Yep. So we've been riding 450 this year. And last year we did 250 in Arenacross, and then the last round in Vegas, I jumped down to 450 just because we had so much issues with our 250 last year. I was we were gonna go to Arlington last year, and I had a motor lock up on the face of the catapult, and that kind of put a scare into me with 250s last year. And I was like, you know what? I'm just bumping over to my 450. We'll do Vegas and do a couple Supercrosses, and I was like, next year we're just gonna go 450, which thankfully we did because everyone this year showed up on 450. And because I don't ride nothing but a 450 all summer long. Anything else, I've always just rode 450. Really, just it's a lot cheaper on us, and I'm a little bit bigger of a guy for a 250, so you got to have like a powerhouse 250 to be competitive. And yeah, that we're gonna go 450 Supercross. And after watching A1, you're like, dude, do I really need to go to 450 Supercross? Because like it is stacked as all get out. But
Give it a few rounds. It always thins out. And I'll be honest with you, from what I've seen with the start, I don't see why you can't. I mean, you and Chiz in a 6 lap race. I mean, I don't see why you couldn't do that.
no, that's the thing is, on a certain day, a certain track, you get a good start. If it's your time to get in there and you're feeling it, I mean, Brees made it in. That was cool for him. But that just shows you, third place guy in the LCQ to 12th is not much difference. It's all about that start. You got to put yourself in a good place, and if you're feeling it that night and you get a good start, I don't see why there's no reason why I couldn't get in there.
No, and from what you've told me, if you go there and pretend like you don't care, you'll get in no problem. If you go there stressed out, you probably won't get in.
100%.
That's what you're telling me about. Oh, I'm ramping up for Prescott. I'm like, dude, you're probably going to go win Guthrie with that attitude, the way that you've been talking about your results.
We'll keep trying, man. I mean,
Awesome.
and
All right. What's that?
Guthrie, love hate with me. Like that red Oklahoma sandy clay stuff. It's so deceiving. You feel like you have traction and the bike slides out from you. So I have like a love hate with that place. And but hopefully it does me good. First time I'm ever gonna ride a 450 there, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it seems crazy that any of you guys would come out on 250s if you can ride a 450. I don't
Yeah.
get that at all.
Well, it's back in the day, Amsoil, you could only ride a 250. So we all kind of got like honed in just ride a 250. And then when Robbie came in with the new series, and then he opened it up, it was like run what you brung. It kind of threw a curveball because you're like, I think a 250 turns better. But then until Breeze came last year in his 450, and you could see like most of our rounds are all in elevation, and he had such an advantage with torque and the big whoops that we were like, yeah, I think we need to have 450 for next year for sure because he's smoking us right now.
Yeah, well, I was like, why would it? I get Peters because he's like half the size of a normal person, but anyone else, I mean, got to be in a 450.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, Peters, and you can't argue. And I was even questioning him going to the 450 this year because I'm like, well, you just won that many championships. Why would you switch?
yeah. No, I get that, and honestly, I think he did pretty well for jumping on a 450 and riding it because I wasn't really sure how he would do on a 450, but he handled like a champ that he is and did pretty good until things kind of went south. So hopefully he's all good.
Yeah, that's scary. Anytime you hear about neck things and arms going numb, it's not good.
Yeah.
And I mean, he had that bad neck injury. It's amazing that he's even back racing, let alone winning championships. But yeah, I hope he comes back. I hope it's okay. But if it's risky, I would say park it. He's done enough.
He's got nothing to prove. I mean, man, he's done 5-time champ. He's good. But if it's good and he's willing to come back, that's awesome. I'd love to see him back.
Well, it's funny too. You talked about maybe, not doing it, and you talk about that fire, like you just have this desire. I 100% believe it's a myth. People say in motocross you're old at 30 to 38. I don't think so. I think it's mental. I think if you still have that fire, I think your athletic peak is between 25 and maybe 35 or 36, depending on how many injuries. So I think you're in your athletic prime. So I don't see why you can't go out there and get the best results of your career, dude.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I've talked with a few people about that because, you know, most of the time at the track, I'm the old guy, right? But to me, I feel like I've never put like those full years of racing in. Like I've never done a full season of Supercross, a full season outdoor. So my body doesn't have that on it, even though I've stayed on a dirt bike. But mentally, I'm not wore out. Like I want to go race. Like I still want to prove to myself. I mean, the money, like there's no factory ride there for me, but there's still like that personal goals that I want to go check off, and just to say that I could do it, or yeah, just really that bucket list stuff. And it just, how rad would it be to say, I got a 15th at Daytona Supercross, I got, it just be rad for sure.
And you do okay money wise with Arenacross, though. Do you make more in a weekend in Arenacross or going to make the show at a Supercross?
No, I definitely make more in Arenacross for sure.
Which is crazy to me.
Anytime that you go to Supercross, you finish sixth, seventh, eighth in an LCQ, $1,200 or something. It's
And you paid 250 to enter.
nobody even knows that you showed. We're parked in the back 40. I don't even have pictures to say like, hey, I went racing Supercross this weekend. I don't even know the media guys. Like, damn, I don't even have. Hey, did anybody in the stand take a photo of me? Yeah, I got this blurry shot. I'm like, damn.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, I'm not even allowed to buy a ticket, so you're ahead of me, dude.
Yeah, I hear
Yeah,
you there.
I don't know if you know that story or not, but they banned me.
I kept in touch a little bit watching, I sit there on my cycle and I watch all kind of YouTube stuff. So I watch all your videos, watch all the Deegan stuff and everything on YouTube. So I kind of keep up with it a little bit.
Well, if I say anything that pisses you off, just hit me up. I'm cool with it. Let me know what I said and why I said it. And yeah, I'll be glad to correct anything. So, all right, brother. Well, hey, thank you so much. I said a half an hour. We're about just over an hour. So it's just fun talking to you. And yeah, you can come on anytime. Hey, I saw something on Instagram. You're having people help you with your season, or what is that?
Yeah. So like this year, I'm trying something new. I'm sure people's done before, but instead of trying to get like one sponsor or one guide to cover your whole series, that's a big lump sum that somebody has to put out just to have their logo on the side of the bike. And really, most people don't get much for that. That's more or less just to say like, hey, I helped this guy out. This is cool. So I'm giving like people like that the opportunity to help for a round. You know, you can be a title sponsor for $1,500 and then a secondary sponsor for $500. But yeah, I'm doing some cool things. Like if you're a title sponsor, you know, you can. I'm going to try to give them like the number plate from that weekend, the race jersey if I can get their logo on it, and just some cool stuff. And I'm going to give them a credential to get into the race and hang out with us in the pits and try to make it worth their while for doing that. And that way it kind of helps the cost to go racing without costing too much. That way, if I do whatever I make that weekend, it's kind of profit, so to say, or make as much back as you can. You know, you're definitely still going in the hole with sign up, entry fees, tires, everything else. But yeah, just trying to different, see if it works out. But right now, I think we got like two title sponsors for. I'm gonna try to do rounds like 6 to 17. So I'm gonna.
Well, hey, let's do this. I'm everyone that like signs on after the race. I do videos on Arenacross. Take a
Yeah,
picture with your sponsor and your bike. I will give them a plug on each one also. I don't know if that helps or not, but might as well, right?
yeah, absolutely.
So we'll say, hey, thanks to Peters and his round spawn, or I'm sorry, Bitterman, not Peters. Punch
Yeah,
me in the face for that one.
yeah,
But
good.
yeah,
No,
yeah, Bitterman and his round by round sponsors, and yeah, we'll plug it and see if we can get you some help, man. Because it's inspiring. It's fun to watch somebody like you, who's just a regular guy who works but has this extreme talent. And man, it's fun. And I don't know, you're a junkyard dog out there, man. It's fun to watch.
got that old school mentality, and yet I appreciate you having me on, and hopefully you can kind of make sense of the story a little bit. I know I kind of go on and on and on and get caught up in the different years and stuff, but thanks for giving me the opportunity to come on here, and yeah, excited to keep watching your stuff, and hopefully you guys kind of stay tuned with the Arena Cross